Media Watch. For that, we're joined here in the studio by Hala Moeddine. Good to see you.
Hello there.
Now then, the big news here in France, the cabinet reshuffle. Tell us more about the analysis online.
That's true. There has been a lot of reaction on Twitter, obviously. Lots of it in France, but also overseas. We've got someone tweeting in from Canada saying that I thought a Ségolène Royal was a French quarter pounder. So we're seeing a lot of light-hearted things popping up on the internet. It's certainly seen from abroad. They are focusing on more on the president's ex-partner. This British journalist pointing out that he was probably canny to do so. Keep your enemies close and your ex-partners even closer. That's him analysing the strategy there. But even off the Twitter sphere, we are looking at it is being talked about, but it's being talked about in that context of the personal life. The French Huffington Post has collated some of the media stories which have been popping up worldwide, and they are underlining the fact that it is the French president's ex-partner who's making the headlines. The breaking news tweet from the Associated Press was talking about Hollande's former partner, Ségolène Royal, being named to the new cabinet. The New York Times, apparently 50% of their article was dedicated to Royal. The Guardian did try and cover other surprises, but again, it was illustrated with a photo of Ms. Royal. And then, of course, we're getting some objective coverage from the British Daily Mail here. They've really gone to town on it. François Hollande sparks anger in France after appointing his unelected former girlfriend, a senior minister in his government, neglecting to mention any of her political experience, other than the fact that she was a defeated presidential candidate and so on and so forth. If we scroll down, we can see lots of photos there appearing, illustrating basically François Hollande as a ladies' man, talking about basically the women in his life and how it's an ongoing saga, the political soap opera of his personal life. And it finishes off the report with a note that he's on the verge of dumping his secret mistress, Julie Gaillet, to spend more time with Ségolène Royal. So some very unbiased trash there from the Daily Mail. If we move on to, well, what should he have done? What could he have done? There's a funny little photo montage going up on topito.com, and they've done a photo of what potential cabinets he could have come up with. This is one of them. It's a version Superheroes to Save France. We've got all the big names there: Luke Skywalker, Jesus, Harry Potter, Batman, and Chuck Norris. Of course, accompanied by Zinedine Zidane and Mother Teresa. So that's one of the options he could have gone for, but appears not to have.
OK, tell us what else has been making waves online.
Well, remember we had that pollution storm back in France.
Indeed, yeah, cars banned for basically the weekend. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that seems to have filtered up towards the UK. The BBC Weather issued a tweet saying this is where the air pollution is high. Tomorrow it's going to cover a much wider area, and it's covering the south of England. And again, it's a similar sort of thing in terms of weather, carburant's getting trapped. But on top of that, there's a dust storm in the Sahara, and those dust particles are being swept up through various weather systems. And so it's being reported as return of the killer smog by the Daily Express. It's the worst pollution in 60 years to strike Britain today. Perhaps a little bit hysterical, but we are seeing some interesting pictures coming through. This is the Prime Minister David Cameron's car. After a shower of rain, you can see the sand particles.
So what we're seeing here is that sand. It's not the fact that he doesn't clean his car or have someone clean it for him. It's the fact that it's actually been covered in sand.
That is the hashtag Sahara dust, which is on the British Prime Minister's car. Now, we're getting some humorous reaction, obviously. Hashtag Sahara dust. One gentleman here saying, I'm trying not to laugh at the UK freaking out over air pollution from Sahara dust. Try living in an actual sandpit. Another person here, you'd think Krakatoa had gone off on Hampstead Heath, the way people are talking about it. And another person describing the situation when he got home from work and there's a camel in my front garden and a house in the shape of a pyramid. So a bit ridiculous, especially when you consider what real pollution looks like. And as a former resident of Beijing, I can tell you that this is certainly something that is worlds apart, essentially. If you remember, back in February, The Guardian talked about China's toxic air being akin to nuclear winter. And, of course, some very troubling photos, which we're not seeing the like of that either here in Paris or across in the UK. But this is a photo from the apocalyptic air storm back in January, February, when the AQI hit 725 in Beijing. And this is essentially, you can't see much. It's a building with the sun reflected.
I was going to ask you, what is it?
This is it. The yardstick we use is if you can't see the buildings across the road from you, then you know the pollution is bad. You know, a light dusting of haze is kind of par for the
China
course
took great
there.
steps in. I covered the Olympics in 2008 out there. I mean, China took great steps then to try to clear the air up, and factories were moved, whole communities were moved away from Beijing in order to create clean air. But clearly, there's an ongoing problem.
Well, it is an ongoing problem. And when the mood takes them, for example, big party conferences and so on, yes, they do make an effort to clean up the air. They shut down factories and so on. But it is very much a problem, despite the efforts that are being taken. Only 4% of Chinese cities met the air quality standards back in 2013. That's just 3 out of 74 major Chinese cities. And of course, with the publication of that report into climate change and pollution ever present in our minds, it's certainly something that's food for thought.
OK, give us your last story.
Our last story is a feel-good number, just to end on a high. Something that's been appearing in people's Facebook feeds. This is The Lion King in an aeroplane. It was a flash mob done by the cast of The Lion King, which was touring from, they were moving from Brisbane to Sydney, and they broke into an a cappella version of one of the songs on a plane before takeoff.
And there we leave it. Fantastic. Hala, thank you very much indeed.
Welcome.
Hala Modian with our Media Watch. Entertaining as ever. Thank you very much indeed. Time for us to take a very short break. After that, it's more news. Stay with us live from Paris.